Presenting Carnival of Fears. A short story, Midway to Death. The Crimson Angel by ForbzWordz.
Picture this. A man is with his wife at a theme park. He begins to become fearful of the largest and fastest ride. A moment ago, he was taking pictures of his wife with his phone. He looks down to check the ball game score, not knowing just above him the metallic joints of the monolith apparatus creaking away of ancient evil. Now let's give them life. The man, we'll call him Louis, and his wife, we'll name her Louise. They are actually on their honeymoon. Louis finally came back from the war and they decided it was now or never. They traveled 2,000 miles to elope, and 24 hours later, as they travel along the road, the joyful newlyweds see a welcoming carnival just up ahead. What they do not know is that this is not just any old carnival. It was in fact the Carnival of Fears. This man, Louis, only a moment ago he was happy and walking the Midway with his wife. After they finished their dinner of greasy cardboard carny burgers, Louis suddenly felt a great sharp pain in his gut. It passed quickly, but he had never felt that kind of pain before. He shrugged it off to the poor diet on their romantic adventure. Louis was then taking a picture of his wife posing under the Midway's largest and intimidating scrambler ride that he'd ever seen. When he heard the sound that triggered an ancient fear, he had no idea this fear was hidden deep inside his soul. Louise didn't see a sudden change in Louis, but slowly he began to sweat and seemed to be fidgeting with his clothes. When she got close and looked into his eyes, something was different. Louis began to get a nervous twitch at the sight of everything around him. It appeared to be an acute panic attack. Louise came to his aid, and out of embarrassment, Louis acted as though he was totally fine. It was the heat was getting to him, Louis was able to convince her enough not to worry, but deep inside he was feeling a creeping fear that felt like a cool, slimy reptile's hand slowly clenching his brain. Sitting down at a picnic table, he tried to regain some composure. Out of restlessness and slight irritation from him brushing off her concern, Louise wants to make things exciting again. "Let's go on the scrambler," she says. He looks at her like she wanted to sign his death wish. "Don't you want to try it?" she says. "It's the biggest one I've ever seen." "You said you are okay. Don't you like rides?" Louis tries to casually slow his breathing down. "Of course I like rides. I mean, I'm not sure about today, but I do like rides. I know I have before. I'm sorry, darling. I'm not sure what's gotten into me." "You can stay here and get back your nerves, dear," says Louise. "I want to go for a ride." "I will go and be right back, I promise." The sounds of the Midway began to crowd Louis' mind. The thought of her on the ride. No, we can't lose her, not like that. He looked up from the table, looking up further, straining his neck, looking up past the head of Louise and his eyes following the old rusted metal scrambler. It was still for now, but it would start again soon. The noise would be back, the churning of the metal, the joyful screams. They think they scream from joy, but it's really pain waiting for everything to make a mistake. Just a moment is all it takes. This idea of chaos was all consuming him now, and he tried not to make a scene, but he quietly begged Louise not to go on the ride. "Not yet, just trust me," he says. Let's watch the ride. I just have a feeling something bad will happen when we go. If we go on there now, I just feel like something bad will happen," he says. Louise reluctantly agrees. They watch the abnormally tall and skinny blonde-haired man operate the machine into starting position. The Colossus begins slowly. It lifts and swirls and sizzles, but it begins to pick up faster and faster. It's clicking on all cylinders now, and whirling and buzzing. It continues. The pressure builds for Louis, while the restlessness mounts for Louise. She's on the verge of anger. Slowly the machine begins to wind down and come to a halt. Louis is slightly relieved. He reaches for water on the table and drinks it all down. Louis, darling, are you okay now? Look, it's totally fine and safe. See? Now come on, let's get on before it's all filled up again. Look, it looks like the carnival's getting busy. Just this one ride, she says. And then we can go. I promise, I'll even drive, she says. It's alright, dear, I'm okay. You're right, it's just a ride. I've done it 1,000 times since I was a kid, right? I just needed to catch my breath. Alright, let's go. Now, even when the safety belts were clasped around Louis, he still felt an underlying fear. Something wasn't right, but he didn't want to upset Louise again. He would suck it up like a man and try to enjoy the ride. After all, it's only a few minutes long, right? To his surprise, it started a lot faster than what he expected. From down below, it seemed to get going a lot slower, and he was beginning to get nervous and clutched the steel bar in front of him tighter and tighter, and the faster and faster it began, it seemed like it should have ended already. What is this? Is it malfunctioning? Suddenly he felt Louise's hand grab his out of excitement. Her happiness and exhilaration was contagious. For once in what seemed like an hour, he wasn't terrified and a nervous wreck, even though it was only a few minutes. He was able to relax a little and even began to smile and carefully even began to laugh a little bit. By the end of the ride, he felt totally relieved and completely at ease. Are you doing better, my love? Said Louise. She was out of breath from all the fun. Yes, dear. In fact, I feel like a new man, you know. You deserve a good man, you know. You also deserve a good meal. And I'm sorry I was out of sorts earlier. Can you forgive me, dear? Of course, darling, she says. As they begin to exit the fairgrounds, as a huge wave of teenagers rushes by them to crowd the scrambler ride, Louis and Louise happily walk back to their car that's parked amongst the others in the large dirt lot. Louise leans up against the car as Louis kisses her. I'm going to drive, mister, she says. I promised. Oh, nonsense, dear. I'm perfectly fine to drive. Now this is where things get strange. You see, if only Louis hadn't decided to drive, he would be alive. As they were leaving the parking lot, another car racing down the street hit the left side of Louis' car. They went spinning out of control, but ended up perfectly fine. For now, on the side of the road. For now. Now, you would never guess it, but when the car that hit them kept racing forward, it burst through the 8-foot-high wooden fence that enclosed the carnival, and the car ended up finally stopping once it crashed into the massive, murdersome scrambler ride. Oh, that's right. That night it scrambled. All right. All those teens that rushed onto the ride were launched 50 feet into the air. Fortunately, none of them died, but a few were injured, and wouldn't you know it, maybe old Louis was right all along. The ride did get him. Maybe the ride did get him. You see, when the car hit the scrambler and the teens launched off, that left a giant boom arm from the ride to come careening down and crash right on top of their car. It was only off by a few inches from hitting the middle of the car, but it was just slightly to the left and crushed Louis instantly. By what some call a miracle and what math says is several inches distance, Louise got out of the wreck largely unscathed. Now the question is, did the spirit of the carnival somehow give Louis foresight into seeing this horrific fate? Or did the ride somehow shake loose some ancient awareness of his death? Or maybe it was his reaction to the greasy food. Or perhaps it was just his time to go. And that's why the next time someone offers to drive, maybe you'll think twice. Postscript. What no one knows is that this carnival in particular is owned by an old magician. Well, the real term is magi. He's been running this carnival for hundreds of years. no one ever knowing his secrets. But one thing I can tell you is that every year at least one man has to die in order for this magi to stay alive. And that greasy burger wasn't ordinary food. It was in fact infused with a spell and spices set to induce fear and paranoia. Now, only one bun is circulated once a year, and that unfortunate soul who eats the burger with said bun will hallucinate something close to their death. Not quite the truth. Would you really want to see the truth? Would you really want to see the truth? Would you really want to see the truth? Perhaps sometimes even knowing your death, if seen differently, can at least suspend our surprise when the Crimson Angel comes to collect what's right before your eyes. ForbzWordz out.